Hey, a little bit of channel news. I want to say thank you to the 104 subscribers I've got. Usually, when I get a bump, I lose about half of that bump when folks look further into what I speak about because I offend some sensibilities. I upset some beliefs. I challenge some thoughts. And I really won't hand people the answers they want. This is simply too complicated. This is based on professional work and experience. This is based upon studying and reading ad nauseum thousands of papers and putting these little pieces together, scattered across about 5 decades of the sciences. The looking into this has gone back to the 1800s to understand why the periodic table of elements is like it is. And if you go back to that root story and Mendeleev's building of that table, you'll realize the challenges he had because isotopes exist. An isotope is like an element, only subtly different, and they exist out there. So that table of elements is not wrong. It can be misleading unless you extend that conversation to say there's more to it. So a lot of folks, that's their picture when you talk about elements, is that periodic table. When you go look in that table, you'll find a little nuance in there in isotopic abundance numbers that tells how much of this element exists on our planet or in the air. These numbers only get corrected and made better every 4 or 5 years. They're restudied. It can take 4 or 5 years to process these samples and the data that effectively to get to a detail as specific as isotopic abundance on the planet to a number of decimal places. It makes it rather hard to understand. So the periodic table isn't broken. It is a bit misleading. It is a simple view into a very complicated world. So when I speak to these things, in my mind, I'm speaking to these papers and standing on the shoulders of hundreds, if not thousands, of man years of study and research and instruments and people talking amongst themselves in conversations that don't work out in public. So this is what the channel's about. Where I get the biggest bump is when someone shares a video or shares a comment, and you should preface it with, "What's this asshole talking about?" Because if you pick the topic I'm talking about and not the nonsense around it, never mind.